Welcome everybody to our third fall program of the Friends of the ASM Collections. And today we're very thrilled to be able to have a local Kachina doll carver. I will now turn this over to Jen, who will introduce our speaker today.
Welcome. I am just absolutely delighted that Dino Patterson agreed to give a presentation. I first saw his dolls for sale at the shop in the museum, and then at Native Seed Search, and I've acquired several. And I think I just love this Katsina. But anyway, enough about me, and I'm going to turn it over to Dino. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Earl Dino Patterson Jr. Sinawioma is my Hopi name. I am a Hopi Katsina doll carver from Portvilla, Arizona, about 100 miles northeast of Flagstaff. Inside the Navajo Reservation, we have the Hopi Reservation. I am a Roadrunner Greasewood clan, and I moved to Tucson in 2005 following family. Been carving for over 30 years, and the carving has been passed down from generation to generation from my brother, brother-in-law, stepfather, and grandfathers as well, and friends and carving circles also. Katsina is our Hopi word for Kachina. The Kachina is the English word for the Katsina. And in our language, Katsi means life. So these are life spirits, Katsina. Katsinas are life spirits. So they represent everything in life. And this is how we portray those spirits and keep them alive and thriving for the future generations to also respect and honor these spirits as they go through their lives. So all of this Katsina are made out of cottonwood root. And that cottonwood root is a very spiritual wood to us Hopi. And that's to represent a good spirit, to be light. So all of the cottonwood root is very light this year. And all the Katsinas that are made with the cottonwood root. Now the Katsinas are spirits that used to visit as Pueblo people. And most of the Pueblo people believe in Katsinas, the spirits of life. And so the Hopi and the Zuni are mainly the ones who carve the Katsinas. The Zunis sometimes make their Katsinas with pine. So theirs be a little bit harder and a little bit different. As our Katsinas are similar, but a little different as well. So carving Katsinas, we use different tools such as Dremels, knives, wood burners, files, sandpaper, paints of different styles such as oils, watercolors, acrylics, and natural pigments as well. And Katsinas have different styles. People carve old style, or people carve modern style, such as my work here. But I also do a old style Katsina with more natural pigments. So the natural pigments come from pigments of the earth, like clays, rocks, plants. That's what we make our pigments with. And all the colors represent something in life as well. As all these stories and colors been passed down from generation to generation about different Katsinas, the colors represent everything in life as well. So we have blue for water and sky, yellow for male, red for female, black for negative, and white for positive and good. So everything in life is in them colors, the Hopi colors of life. And that is old style. And the old style was made with really primitive tools such as rafts and files and not really good knives, but knives and saws. So everything would look really rough and primitive looking. So nothing really had any real detail to it. And back in the day, they would add on feathers and fur and all the little ears and mouth, and the little adornments would be on there, be added on. So today you would see these type of Katsinas in museums and in private collections. But sometimes you won't see the ears or the fur or the feathers on them because the kids back in the day would play with these. And the first thing they would do is rip off all the ears and feathers and clothing, just like they do with Barbie dolls and things they play with today. But nowadays they're doing more of a full figure style with everything added on, and all the hair and the fur and the feathers will be wood and will be one piece most of the time. But you also have different styles of that, to where they used to add on the arms and the legs and everything. We'd be using gesso and painting with acrylic. And this style here is more one piece action, but everything of the cottonwood root. So all the wood here that you see in the house, in this, my little section of the house here, this is my detailing section. So I do a lot of wood burning here and a lot of painting, not so much sanding or Dremel work. Carving sometimes doesn't make that much of a mess. But all this wood here, I've gone out and I've collected myself out here in the high desert area, Santa Cruz, San Pedro. All these rivers here provide all the cottonwood root that I need. So when I'm out there hunting for wood, I'm looking for cottonwood root or different unique pieces that I could make Katsinas with. So sometimes I come across pieces that really don't apply to Katsina, but is a cottonwood root. So I would make something out of it because it's a nice piece of wood, such as Roadrunner or even sculptures that I do will be made out of different looking wood. And a lot of these pieces here on the screen are some sculptures that I've done from pieces that are really unique, and sometimes you don't really have to work too hard on it to have the spirit come out. And here we have some old style flat dolls and some more full figure modern style Katsinas. Here we have some modern style, I call these wild flowers. They really look wild and unique pieces of root. And a lot of different mediums I'm starting to use to put art, make art. And so a lot of them are gourd, choya, saguaro, and these are just a few examples things that I do, some ideas I have, some lamps, some sun face. I call them saguaro sun face. And I have one here that's complete. So when I moved here to Tucson, I did the Tucson Meet Yourself. And that was a little show that we still do today. And I met a lady from the museum here, and she gave me the information for their show. So when I first entered that show at the State Museum, I took first place for my frog Katsina that you just seen on the other page. And the year after that, I took it for my warrior maiden, first place. And then a white bear the year after. So 3 times in a row I took first place here in the U of A, which really made me proud for honoring my work. Thank you all. And you can find a lot of my work here in town at the museum. I used to have some pieces at the Heard Museum, but they probably sold those. It's been a while since I've been around selling Katsina dolls. Because since I've been in the show, that's my my retail now. So I've turned into the retail marketer instead of the wholesale. So now that is what we do. Doing shows and state shows. And Santa Fe Indian Market is a big show that we do as well. And we'll be having another little show, like a Christmas show here down the street in Tucson. So if you'd like to stop by and talk some more about Hopi Katsinas or have any dolls that you might like to see or would like to put any orders for anything, it'd be good to talk.
So your contact information after that's your information.
So this is my contact information, Earl Dino Patterson Jr., Sonovioma. My phone number is 991-1950. That's 520 area code. And this is the upcoming event that we're going to be having this weekend. And this year they are having a Heard Museum viral market. And that is going to be on March 6th and 7th, 2021. And my categories are Pablo carving and diverse art forms. Now, do we have any questions?
Oh, I think you did such a great job of covering one of the things that was a slide that you didn't have a chance to talk about were some of the other kinds of artwork that you've experimented with, other things you'd like to do, the wood carving.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of other mediums that I'd like to explore is like stone carving and silversmithing, but that's slowly getting into my I guess my moods and the inspiration, and then finally finding a teacher to pass that down to me too, you know. But a lot of things that I do, like this piece back here, are saguaro and pine and different mediums such as corn and horsehair. And before this was even created, it was just an idea I had in my head, you know, with the saguaro being so abundant out here that a lot of people could use it as art, you know, and some people do use it for art, but I wanted to mix the art, you know, like North and South, Hopi and Totem Nation down here, you know. So nowadays, when I come across a lot of stone pieces, I try to work on it, you know. But I started with this soft stone. And I've done some alabaster before, but this stone is here in out towards Iravaca, and it's a really soft stone. I think it's a little too soft to actually make something significant with. But also wanting to do some metal work. Now I've done some welding before, welding and cutting with a torch, but nothing to where you can have a giant yard to do something big with. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but it's just something that I think I would like to get into as well. And all of these things that I do and carve, and I would like to pass that down also to another generation. Like my friends, they used to come by and ask me about different things, you know, and I show them a little bit of something, how to do something, but they want to blow up really fast, and they still haven't, you know, learned how to make it move yet, you know, how to bring out that motion in the piece, where they just get carried away with that Dremel, you know, you lose yourself in it, in the wood and with the Dremel. But a lot of these things I want to pass down to my nephews, to my son. And I don't know if people will have enough time or energy to even conceive my ideas, you know, even want to hang out with me that long, you know.
Have you started talking to your son about, does he come in and start carving or?
Oh yeah, we used to go outside a lot and do a lot of walking and hiking for the wood. So that part interests him, you know, the nature. And that's the part that really needs to touch him before he really gets in tune with carving. But his art is mainly like drawing and those polymer clay. He makes stuff out of that.
Oh,
So when he was younger, about 5, he was making in some little Thomas the Trains. So they have all different characters and all different colors. So those would really match those colors, that polymer clay. Then we would go out to markets and he would have his own little display. And I'd tell him to talk about it too. And all of a sudden he'd be selling some. So he turned into a little entrepreneur too.
learning from the master.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm sure there's other people that have questions. There was one other thing because we talked. It was interesting about how because all these Katsina wear jewelry, turquoise jewelry, and so how does the turquoise jewelry fit into the Katsinas what they're wearing?
Oh, that's the like their necklaces. Those are all really powerful things for the Katsinas. That's their energy. So that brings them nourishment for their spirit. And that's what the blue represents. The blue is the water and the sky.
Thank you. All righty, I'll let somebody else have a stab at questions now.
Yeah, so Dino, Gail Gibbons was mentioning that you had skipped over your mentor slide. Could you tell us about your mentors and how you learned?
Oh yeah, my mentors are my brother-in-laws and my brother. Well, they're all very famous artists already themselves, and my stepfather, he would be passing on the stories and telling me of different beings and everything, what they represented, and the colors of everything. But my brother Timothy Talawipi and my brother-in-law Brian Loma, he's Hopi. He's gone. He's passed now, but Nipu. And but their carvings were inspirational, And Tim's right now, his work is a lot more detailed than mine and a lot more actioned. And just the way that they carve, makes it look simple. And for me to be along that stage is surprising too, but when you go to a show and you see other carvers, top end carvers that are award winners, that's where you inspire to be, where I inspire to be, it's being looked up to like that, somebody seeing my work somewhere and automatically recognizing it. That's somebody I know, But all of these artists out there, that some of them aren't Hopi either. But they carve, and there's carvers that also are on like the web and Facebook that you see, and they're out of this world, making giant pieces, like trees, stumps, and all these huge horses and hair flying all over. I could just imagine that, but hair and feathers, things like that. But I guess I'm doing the same thing, but this one here is a really neat piece. You have to see this in live, in person, because there's a lot of details that you miss and you can't see just by looking at it through it. But this is all one piece of root, and it bent like this, and this was the end of it, but it went on for another 6 feet. So I had to drag that piece out of the river probably a couple miles. Cut it in
That,
half.
That's a good segue into a question that I see in the chat. Tim Wernette is asking, how do you harvest the cottonwood roots? Where do you find your wood?
Well, I was telling you guys, I'll go out here to Santa Cruz, to San Pedro, even to down here to Gila, where they intersect, and especially after the monsoon season, I go out because during the monsoon out here is really dry, and these washes, they don't look like much right now, but when that floods, it's 10 feet tall water just flowing and eating and moving everything, earth and trees. You'll see tumbling down the road, tumbling down the wash. And when you come across something like that after all that devastation, it's just piles of everything kind of wood. So you gotta know what cottonwood looks like and also smells and feels. And you could probably just see a little patch of it, and it's just the skin, and you know it's a piece of cottonwood root. You tap on it and it sings back to you. Then you have to uncover that whole pile. But that's just a reward for your spirit, is to accept that spirit and take it home and carve something out of it. When we're out there hunting for wood too in this high desert, and all that rain and moisture comes and rips these trees down, it only takes about a year or a summer for all that wood to dry out, because all that moisture just gets sucked out with the heat down here. So when I'm out there looking for wood and I find it, it's usually light like this already. It's already light, and it'll have rough edges like this. And sometimes those pieces like that, I'll use those for flat dolls, and I'll make a flat doll out of it like this. See?
Mhm.
And then the bottom right here would just look really primitive looking. So it looks old already, like really ancient. So I like working with those types of stuff. This one here is the Zuni maiden. And with the sculptures, I like to keep the face of the Katsina the right size, and then just flow with the body of the wood. So you could see her hair comes down like that. And this is all carved in there. And this piece is all one piece attached to the base down here. There is a new idea I came up with. Now this wood runs this way, but I made it this way.
Why is it the cottonwood root and not the rest of the tree that's the important part for Katsinas?
Well, yeah, it's the cottonwood root of the tree, and it's because it's really light, and it represents the good spirit to be light. Okay. Yeah, and the branches, when you cut them, usually the inside of it will crack in a circle like this. It's really weird. I don't know why it does that. But when you cut a branch like that, the inside it'll crack. But there are a couple artists that do carve with those branches, because you know the cottonwood root is not just readily available out in the Hopi reservation. You know, you have to go hundreds of miles to find some cottonwood root. The reason why I go out and look for it is because I can't buy it from a cottonwood root seller like my my other brother also is my my Spanish brother. He's now a cottonwood root man. They call them Paco man out there.
Uh,
So he goes out to the rivers up north around the Blue, and he would collect wood and take it up north and sell it. So a lot of the carvers up there, they have to pay for it, or they would trade and barter. So a lot of us we're still trading and still the wood itself is like currency.
Do you ever use anything else like mesquite?
Actually, I tried to carve mesquite, but it is hard. But it does make really great bases because I do other sculptures and really unique things with pieces of root. Sometimes they're not cottonwood root, but they're really tough and they're squiggly, really wild looking. And I would use gourds as well and mix media to put them together and make wild flowers.
Jen wants you to talk about the sculpture with the rocks on the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one was this past year at the Herd Museum show. I found that piece out in the river and I had that for about a couple years now. And when I cut it, it actually stood up by itself. And luckily I missed some rocks because there's like about 6, 7 rocks in that thing and they were huge boulders. But that cottonwood root grew around those boulders. So you could imagine it growing underground, just encompassing all these rocks, And when the monsoon or something came through, it ripped that whole thing out solid. So when I came across it, it was just singing. She was already there. But that thing is all one piece. Even the little feather that was on there. And that was a really unique piece. That one went overseas.
A couple questions. Do women also do carving? And I'm curious how you get the cottonwood roots from the washes to, I'm guessing, your vehicle. Do you drive along the washes or do you actually carry them by hand, or do you have a ATV, or just, I'm just curious how you get them from the washes.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, I used to torture my kids and my wife with that. Take them with me. Let's go for a trip, field trip, picnic. But yeah, but now I go out just by myself, foot, and like I said, miles. Sometimes it's just right there, but all of the rivers and stuff are where we go to look for the wood, and some of it is private land too. So you get to know the people, and they really don't care what you do in that land. Just don't kill any animals or burn it or something. But usually, sometimes I'll give them something too, because if I find a lot of really nice wood and I have to go back, I want to be friends with somebody.
Right. Oh, nice.
You give them a gift, they'll appreciate it, and you're in. You get to go there whenever.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I would like to get an ATV or a all-terrain vehicle like that. And there's so much country out there that we've only explored just this much. Yeah, the women usually they're not supposed to carve
Oh.
on the and usually it's just the initiates of a Hopi, the Hopi Katsina society that can carve. So once you get initiated, you're able to carve. But a lot of ladies, there's a few ladies that do carve. One of them is related to me as well, but she just felt it one day that she wanted to carve, and nobody taught her. She just started carving one day, and she's still carving to this day and doing really nice work.
Mia is asking to go back to the slide about Kachina versus Katsina. There's a question about the different pronunciations.
Well, Kachina is more the English way of saying Katsina. So they had to make it easier for them to pronounce and say it. These days we tell people the correct way of saying Katsina. Life spirits is Katsi. Katsi is life.
Dino, thank you very much. This was fantastic. People obviously love your work, and you did such a great job of explaining it. And so thank you, and we'll invite you back.
Yes, thank you all.